watching Sky News today. Now, as campaigning for the European elections gathers pace, the MP's expenses debacle has proved something of a gift to the fringe political parties. Polls suggest that voters will abandon the more traditional choices in favour of those with more controversial manifestos. And one of those parties caught in controversy with their latest election campaign is the British National Party. They've angered the family of Winston Churchill by using his image in their latest party political broadcast.
In World War II, the sacrifice of our heroes saved not just Britain from invasion, but the whole of Europe from the evil Nazi plan to create a totalitarian European superstate. Our war heroes fought like lions to stop Britain being swamped by foreign invaders. What would the mates they left behind think if they could see Britain today? What's it coming to when you're made to feel like an unwelcome foreigner in your own country?
Well, now joining us in the studio is the leader of the British National Party, Griffin. Good morning to you, Mr. Griffin. And on that party political broadcast, do you not get the irony of the fact that the foreigners you were talking about there were led by a party of the extreme right? You are a party of the extreme right.
We're not a party of the extreme right. On some things, we're to the right of politics, for instance, wanting capital punishment for murderers. On other things, such as opposing the privatisation of the health service, we're a left-wing party. We're not.
Well, certainly on the issue of race and nationality, you are on the extreme right.
No, on the issue of race and immigration, Winston Churchill was massively and repeatedly opposed to any non-white immigration into Britain. We're just following in his footsteps.
So on the 65th anniversary of D-Day coming up, many veterans saying they are offended by that, by you trying to feed off the reputation of Winston Churchill. Do you not sense any of their anger over that? Do you not share any of it?
There's anger, obviously, from the political class and from some...
And from Winston Churchill's relatives.
And Winston Churchill's relatives were quite happy to exploit Winston Churchill's memory when they sold his papers to the nation for £12 million of the taxpayers' money. And the fact is that the things that Winston Churchill himself stood for, opposition to mass immigration, opposition to Britain being swallowed up in the European Union,
and fundamentally opposition to Nazism.
He was opposed to Nazism, we're opposed to Nazism and extremism, but Winston Churchill was very strongly opposed not just to immigration, he also warned about the dangers of the Islamification of the West many years before we did, but we're the only ones who still say the things that he said.
OK, let's talk about these elections coming up, the European elections, the local elections. What are your ambitions here? As I said in the introduction, a lot of anger out there with the so-called conventional parties, the larger parties, and protest votes, we are told, are going to be cast in their droves. You've got, what, 53 local councillors or so at the moment, no Euro MPs. What are your ambitions in both areas?
We at present don't have any county council seats, and we're quite sure we're going to break through to that next high level of government in a number of parts of the country and start getting the experience of running some quite powerful aspects of our local democracy. In the European elections, we went into this campaign thinking, well, perhaps if we're really lucky, we can win 1 or 2 seats. If we do really well, I think we're now looking at a fair bit more than that.
A fair bit more? Some say up to 6.
I think it's now possible. I've heard from people who are at the openings of the first postal counts today, and they're saying our votes, for instance, in the East Midlands is running about 20% of the total.
And what would your ambition, what would your attitude be if you yourself got in, you're standing, I know, in the northwest, if you got into the European Parliament, given that the major source of immigration into this country comes from the EU, and particularly from those countries that joined relatively recently from the east, what's your attitude to that, to the Poles, the Czechs, the Slovaks, the Slovenians that all come here?
Well, as far as we're concerned, Britain shouldn't even be in the European Union. The moment we withdrew, then those people would lose the right to work here.
Well, that's not going to happen, though.
That's not going to happen.
With respect, even if you get 3 or 4 MEPs.
Yes. The main thing, if we get 3 or 4 MEPs, the next 5 years are crucial to whether Turkey is allowed to join the EU or not. We believe the advent of Turkey, 80 million low-wage Muslims having a right to come and work in Britain, would be disaster. We want to be there to oppose that as much as possible.
But you say you're a well-rounded party with a full-blown economic policy. On economics, you must read, as everyone else does, the demographic argument that says Britain is an ageing nation, we have an ageing population, we have these huge pension time bonds and the rest of it. We actually need immigration. We need younger workers, wherever they come from, to come in and do the jobs that Britain's can't or won't do.
No, the reality is that immigrants also get older. It's a very, very short-term fix. We've got about 5 million people of working age not working in this country. Those are the people we need to train and get back to work, not import the surplus population of the third world.
But some people say, well, look, your problem is with race. If they're white and they can assimilate, that's okay.
No, that's not the case. We, right from the start of the expansion of the European Union, said that there was going to be huge numbers of white East Europeans, particularly Poles, coming to this country. We said at the beginning it would be very unfair to ordinary people. The government said there was going to be 13,000 of them. We said it's going to be hundreds of thousands. We were proven right.
Would you let the Gurkhas in?
Yes, we would. We run it
Why?
slow. Because
they're culturally and racially distinct.
yes, they are, but the ones who've actually fought for this country, who are very sick, we would let them in immediately with no problem at all.
And what about the hundreds of thousands of Indians and Africans who fought for this country during the Second World War and their relatives?
We said quite openly about the Gurkhas at the start that because Britain is full, we couldn't take 100,000 extra people and their relatives without having some people leave. If we could swap the Gurkhas for instance, the 100,000 Muslims who, in opinion polls, openly say they support the aims of Al-Qaeda, we think it would be a damn good swap.
Tell me about your economic policy. Is this what you're hearing on the doorsteps? Is this what people are concerned about, the pickle we're in at the moment? How would you get us out of it? What would your attitude be, for instance, to the banks that have more or less been privatised? How quickly would you get them back into the private sector?
Well, we would have let the banks go to the wall because they were destroyed by their own corruption, their own greed. And the government after government has told us you can't bail out steel industries, you can't bail out fishing, you can't bail out coal. As soon as the banks are in trouble, they bail them out. They should have let them collapse. The government should then have picked up the pieces, the assets, and incorporated those into a national reconstruction bank.
And reform of Parliament, this anger we've been talking about on the doorstep, your candidates must be hearing it about their MPs, about their local councillors, presumably anyone from these larger parties. How would you reform Parliament? How would you make sure that expenses can't be abused?
Well, we get rid of the crooks. The expenses thing, the system should be very simple. They should say to MPs, you can't have a second home in London. We're going to build a block of offices combined with bedrooms and so on, and you stay there when you come into work. You come down to London to work on the same second-class rail fares that young squaddies get when they're sent off by train to go to barracks for Afghanistan. That's all that needs to be done.
Okay, barracks for MPs. Let me put some of the questions we've been asking for this morning from Sky News viewers. This from Fahad Munir. He says, has the BNP changed its mind about the membership of non-white people who were born or lived all their lives in Britain? Does he want these people to be members of the party, or is the BNP still a party for white British people only?
We're a party for our people because if we're not that, then our people don't have anyone standing up for them. You know, there's all sorts of organisations in the country, the Black Police Officers Association, Muslim Lawyers Associations.
So they are your people too?
So no, what I'm saying is that every other ethnic group in this multicultural country have groups who are there specifically to stand up for them. You're not even allowed to set up a charity for English aims. So until the establishment levels the playing field, and treats the indigenous people of this country fairly, then we'll maintain
just
our
answer that question
for them.
Specifically. Can non-white people who were born or lived all their lives in Britain join the BNP?
No, they can't, just as I can't join the Black Police Officers Association.
Okay, you have to be white.
You have to be a British and closely kindred stock, yes. It's nothing to do with the colour, it's to do with being here for the indigenous people of these islands, because the other politicians clearly are not. And
can I just ask you lastly, Mr Griffin, are you going to attend this Buckingham Palace garden party? Richard Barnbrook on the London Assembly, your member there, has invited you along, and obviously you'd be aware of the controversy surrounding that. Is it your ambition to go there and meet the Queen?
It's a great shame that the opposition parties have politicised this, and in doing so, embarrass the monarchy potentially. But we've got a
some say it might be embarrassing for the monarchy to meet you with your extreme views.
Well, we've got a press conference about that this afternoon, so you have to wait and see.
So are you going to go or not?
We'll tell you at the press conference.
It's rather strange, Mr Barnbrook taking you as his partner.
That was Richard's decision. It's certainly caused some fuss. I don't think we realised how much fuss it was going to cause, but the decision of what we're going to do next will be released at 2:30.
Okay, Mr Griffin, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's get all the days